Threes, 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 and more threes. Boom! The Denver Nuggets might have perfected offense. I'm going to tell you why. The Nuggets blow out the Utah Jazz in maybe the best start to a game we've had all NBA season. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, ball out. But y'all, I got to tell y'all, man, there is a shift in the strategy that I think has fundamentally changed just how good this team can be this year. We got to talk about all that today. This is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. So glad to be here with you today, y'all. Matt Moore and Ryan Blackburn, they are dealing with sick people. They're sick themselves. They're taking care of their business, y'all. Make sure everybody that's watching and listening, take care of your health because you're in December. You're right in flu season. There are a lot of different things going around. My friends are sick. Please make sure you're washing your hands, you're taking your vitamins, take care of yourself. Be well, my friends. But y'all, the Denver Nuggets, I'm trying to tell y'all, man, they are streaking. They look great. They look good. They bounced back from maybe their worst shooting performance of the year versus the Rockets with maybe their best shooting performance versus the Utah Jazz, y'all. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during the NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, y'all. All right, let's get into the game, y'all. The Denver Nuggets, man, they won 135 to 112, and that was a phenomenal display of offense and defense for your Denver Nuggets. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the game, if you have NBA League Pass, you can go back and watch all of the condensed versions of the game without all the commercials, or you can go to YouTube and you can go to the NBA channel and you can watch all of the highlights from the game as well. But if you didn't get a chance to watch, y'all, the Nuggets got off to a 19-0 start to this game. 19-0. It was insane. So the game starts off, y'all. Jokic hits a nice little midi off of a pin down. Jokic then gets a pick and pop situation and takes his first and only three of the game bucket. Jokic then gets a steal, and then Jones misses a three in the corner. But you know what? Great process. Good luck. But then Peyton Watson makes his triumphant return to the Nuggets starting lineup. He's in the corner right in front of the Jazz bench. Three, bucket. And then Jamal Murray gets involved in the party. Three. The Nuggets opened up with an 11-0 lead in this game off of jump shots from Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Peyton Watson. And you could just tell, all right, the energy is here. They're about their business. They're serious today because this Jazz team, they're not good enough for you not to take them serious. And we've seen the Nuggets versus the Kings this year, versus the Bulls this year, that sometimes when they played versus teams they feel like they can beat, they just come out super flat, especially on the defensive end. But not today. After the Rockets game, they came in with the mission. And the Nuggets, I can tell you watching this game, because they have Cam Johnson on the floor with Peyton Watson and with Spencer Jones, the defense looked markedly better. They were getting around screens. They were bodying in to Lauri Markkanen. They weren't allowing space for Keontae George. You could just tell that like they were being very intentional that we cannot give these dudes open windows. And then Jokic gets a tip out, rebound. It leads to a Peyton Watson layup, like a nice little kind of like a great maneuver in the air, lays the ball up. Spencer Jones gets a steal. Peyton Watson gets another three. All of a sudden, it's 16-0. And then Jamal Murray comes off of another action three, bow, versus drop coverage. And all of a sudden, it's 19-0 for your Denver Nuggets. And they look like they're about to house the Utah Jazz. And again, previously, y'all, we've seen them do this, and then they'll kind of let off the gas a little bit, but not today. The Nuggets then extend the lead to 24-3. By the way, y'all, I've been keeping track of this stat all year. This is going to be one of the stats of the season for me. The Denver Nuggets, including last night, They've had a lead of 12 or more in 24 of the 28 games they have played so far this season, y'all. That is a historic start to the year. So then Tim Hardaway Jr. gets involved in the action. He gets a crazy three-pointer, y'all. And let me tell you how ridiculous this is. So the Utah Jazz score. They inbound the ball to Jamal Murray. And I'm talking about it took them 2.5 seconds from the ball being inbounded to Jamal Murray passing it up to Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. gets the ball, fires up a three-pointer from the right wing. I'm talking about he got into the shot motion with 22 seconds left on the shot clock. And if you listen to the Utah Jazz announcers, they talked about it in the game. The Nuggets do a crazy job of getting the ball inbounded off a made shot to where you can't even reset your defense because now they're already across half court and they're all ready to fire off a three or get a layup or a dunk. And that has fundamentally changed this roster. I'm going to talk about the three-point shooting as a whole, but y'all, this game I think was a great reminder of some of the intentionality of John Wallace and Ben Tinzer as they constructed this roster. They knew the Nuggets needed more three-point shooting, so they added players to it, but also with David Adelman, they also knew they needed to get up more threes, y'all. In this game, and I'm going to go through the rest of the game, the Nuggets shot 24 of 47 from three. 24 of 47 from three today. By the way, the Nuggets, per the Jazz announcers yesterday, the Nuggets became just the 7th team in the history of the NBA to have 3 players make 6 or more threes in a game. They added Cam Johnson through the trade. And Cam Johnson, by the way, was phenomenal last night. He had 20 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, but he was 6 of 6 from 3 yesterday. Phenomenal performance. Jamal Murray, who is having an all-NBA season, 27 points yesterday. He was 6 of 12 from 3. And then Tim Hardaway Jr., the last signing of the offseason for this team, he was 6 of 12 himself from 3. So they got 18 threes on over 50% between just 3 players. And that is a marked difference between what they did versus the Rockets as opposed to this team, y'all. Y'all, between Jamal Murray, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Cam Johnson, fam, they went 18 of 30 from 3 last night. Peyton Watson went 3 of 4. Y'all, that's 21 of 34 from 3 between 4 players. And then Nikola Jokic obviously added a 3 himself. Y'all, the starters were just blitzing from 3. Now, Spencer Jones was the only person that couldn't connect, but he's been shooting really well all year. No real fault to him. He had some really good looks. They just didn't go in. He even got some that was above the break that didn't look as clean as his corner shots, but whatever. He got good looks. He'll finish him later. So, y'all, in the first quarter, man, the Nuggets, they won 40-15. They had a 30-5 lead and a 19-0 lead. By the way, shout out Jalen Pickett. Jalen Pickett got 2 blocks yesterday, including one yesterday at the end of the first quarter on Isaiah Collier. Now, you want to talk about somebody that's rewriting the narrative on his year. Remember, Jalen Pickett, for a lot of the year, wasn't getting any playing time. He was out of the rotation. But I got to tell y'all right now, and I'd be curious to hear what y'all have to say about this. I think at this point, Jalen Pickett is the new 10th man for this team. I just think he's played well enough as a basketball player. He had the Nash dribble that led to a great 3 for Tim Hardaway Jr. yesterday where he dribbled through the lane in the fourth quarter, third quarter, and actually it was the fourth quarter. And he dribbled through the lane, and he got an opportunity to do a DHO with Tim Hardaway Jr., and Tim Hardaway Jr. from the corner just splashed it. And on the year, y'all, again, limited minutes for him. He's averaging 4 points a game. He's shooting 43% from the field, but 39% from 3. He's shooting 100% from the free throw line. And again, y'all, this is just his 3rd year. So you're going to continue to get real development out of Jalen Pickett, and I like that the team is giving him the option and the ability to be able to score. So just a phenomenal game, man. I'm just really, really encouraged by Jalen Pickett's play, really encouraged by the team overall. But, y'all, yesterday for me, it was just about Peyton Watson in a lot of ways. I just think when this team has an identity, which for them is length, size, and aggressiveness, when they have Peyton Watson on the floor, he just makes them so much better because now defensively they can actually rotate and they can run their defense. They can play at the level and rotate behind because they got size with him and Spencer Jones or Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. But then now they got rim protection on the floor. They also have the ability to chase with Peyton Watson. And then when you try to close off ball, there was yesterday, the Jazz tried to shoot a three in the corner. Peyton Watson jumped out at the three-point shooter, and instead of jumping out into play and getting lost, he jumped out, got back into play, and then made him turn down the three-pointer. So just a phenomenal game for Peyton Watson, y'all. But on the other side, I want to get in some more stuff about this game. Also, I want to talk about some larger themes from this year about why I think the Nuggets might have perfected offense this year that's going to make a meaningful difference for them come playoff time. We'll talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player prop updates as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We'll be back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. Shout out to y'all. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Wiper. This is your team every single day. Also, make sure you tap in with the Everydayers Club. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Now, if you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You have access to more specialized content for you, and you'll have access to Matt, Ryan, and myself giving you more in-depth information that you can find out about your Denver Nuggets. All y'all have to do is go to lockedonnuggets.supercast.com, and then you can just tap in within the show notes, and you can get the link from there, and then you can find even more great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please stop, take a breath, hit the subscribe button. We're on the way to 15,000 subscribers here. Hit the subscribe button. Go to the channel. If you're listening to this on the audio side, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. So yesterday, y'all, one of the things that I came away with thinking in my head is this team, this is the best offense by far that the Nuggets have ever had. This is the best offense of the Jokic era that the Nuggets have ever had. And I know that the numbers bear that out. Y'all, right now, the Denver Nuggets have a 123.8 offensive rating this year. 123.8. Just for context, the Boston Celtics in 2023-24 had the #1 offense ever when they won the title. They had a 122.2. Last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers, a 121.0. And remember, the Sacramento Kings, years ago, a 118.6. So offense is continuing to uptick in the league. The Nuggets, though, are so far ahead of the field right now in just how good their offense is that they're putting themselves in a new tier. The distance between them and the #2 offense in the league is the distance between #4 and #5. Like, that's how good they've been this year. The Nuggets have the best half-court offense in the NBA by a lot, a 125.4 half-court offensive rating. The Nuggets this year are averaging 1.7 points per 0 points per possession. So 1.07 points per possession in the half court, which again is insane. Like, that's an insane number. But the thing I think that's making Denver so good this year, y'all, is that this season, the Nuggets are currently #1 for dunks and threes in the NBA in three-point percentage. They're decimals ahead of the Houston Rockets. The Nuggets are shooting 40.3% from three this year. 40.3. And this is including the Nuggets currently have the #1 effective field goals in the NBA percentage by a lot. They're shooting 59.2% in effective field goal percentage, y'all. That is 2 points higher than the Milwaukee Bucks, who are #2. And I think the thing that makes this team so different is that not only are they shooting phenomenally, but from the three-point line, I think this is a really important number. Did you know the Nuggets are currently taking 39 threes per game this season? 39. Now, that is just 22nd in the NBA, but that's a big jump from 30. So even like, let's just say, like, take it from where they were last year, for instance. So last year, the Denver Nuggets were last in the NBA in three-point attempts at 35.6 on the whole season. On the whole season. The year before, the Nuggets were last in three-point attempts in 2024. The year of the championship, the Nuggets were about 21st in three-point percentage. So it had dropped over a 2-year span. But the thing that made them so great in 23 is that they had so many good three-point shooters, especially in their top 7 in their rotation, that it just fundamentally changed just how you guarded Denver. But I do think, y'all, the thing that is making this season so special is that now, because the Nuggets have such a potent interior offense and a perimeter offense, it's changing the way that teams are having to guard Denver. For instance, in the Orlando Magic game, when the Orlando Magic got it to where it was a 6-point game, they put Tim Hardaway Jr. in the game. They had Jalen Pickett out there because Peyton Watson and Christian Brown weren't available. They had they had Peyton Watson out. They had Christian Brown out. So they had Jalen Pickett. It was Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, and Tim Hardaway Jr. So what they did was they spaced it out to where, okay, if you're going to double Jokic, which Orlando did, we're going to make you pay. We're going to burn you. And they did. And then Cam Johnson made the corner three from the corner right in front of the Magic bench, put him up 9, and the game was virtually done. This year, y'all, Jokic is having, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. He might be having the greatest postseason ever, at least of the modern era, since we started being able to track this. This year, Jokic is leading the NBA in post-ups yet again. This year, though, Jokic is averaging 1.33 points per possession from the post this year. That is, among players that are posting up more than 2 times a game, by far the best in the league. Kristaps Porzingis is close. He's at 1.37, but Kristaps is only doing it 3.5 times a game. Jokic is doing it on much more volume, and obviously the scoring numbers with Jokic this year from the post are insane. This year, Jokic is scoring at an effective field goal percentage of 69.7%. 69.7% out of the post this year. So what's happened is now the teams are just playing so well around him that is making it very difficult for opposing defenses to have to double, post, and deal with him consistently. And if you look at points per possession on Synergy, like what Synergy does, it tells you like, hey, if you're post up, so including passes this year, like what's happening. Like if you include passes this year, like the Nuggets are at 1.245 points per possession in the post. So like when you double them, they basically like on a per 100, if you're 100 possessions in a game, you can score like 124 points out of those looks, which is obviously like nuts. I just think, man, if you just look at this team, dude, they've just found a way to perfect interior offense with Jokic. And then shout out Jonas Valanciunas too. Jonas Valanciunas is also having a really good postseason. He's currently scoring 1.15 points per possession in the post. He's shooting 71% in the post this year. Jonas Valanciunas is, which is obviously, just ridiculous. But one of the things that happened this year is that because they increased their three-point volume, and I think Ben Tenzer and John Wallace foreseeing, hey, if teams are going to guard the Nuggets this way, then we're going to make you pay. We're going to give you additional three-point shooting. And now we're going to be able to bury you from the three-point mark. And so you really have to pick and choose with Denver. Now, I think Houston did a really good job versus the two-man game the other day because they were able to tilt the defense so far towards Jokic and Murray because just simply, Spencer Jones didn't have a good day that day. And then they weren't making shots. Tim Hardaway Jr. wasn't making open three-pointers. Like Cam Johnson wasn't good enough. So there's like a lot of different things that were happening that I think allowed for that day to happen. Like, Jamal Murray shooting 30% from 3 and Jokic shooting 9 of 20. But it matters, y'all. that now when you're trying to deal with Denver, you're dealing with the best scoring duo between Jokic and Jonas Valanciunas, the best post-scoring tandem in the NBA, and you're flushing them with outside three-point shooting talent. And that's why, for me, Jalen Pickett has to continue to play, because he can actually shoot. Like, he's a real shooter. And so if you have your backup point guard playing those minutes and playing well, then Bruce Brown is doing all the scrappy things that he's doing. He should be your worst shooter in the rotation. Now, when Christian Brown comes back, this is going to be big on Christian Brown to keep up the shooting. He has to get his shooting up from what it was, because he wasn't shooting well before he got hurt. But that's really the only liability they have from a shooting standpoint in their rotation, and I think that matters a lot. On the other side, y'all, we're going to get to the rest of the game and some of the other things I want to talk about, but also the Nuggets play the Mavericks tonight. They have an opportunity to get their get back after losing to the Mavericks already, and they can have a good response and be ready for Ryan Nembhard and Anthony Davis in this game. We'll talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Now, nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, being it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks in EFTs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legend Advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. We'll be back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. We are back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great episode so far. Make sure you tap in with the Everydayer Club. Again, lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. You can sign up for the Everyday Member Club, $5 a month, or you can tap into the Everydayer Club All Access, $15 a month, and you can see the different things that you'll get with each one of those opportunities, y'all. So the Denver Nuggets, as I said, 135-112 victory over the Utah Jazz. It just looks better when Peyton Watson and Spencer Jones are on the floor. And I think that the Denver Nuggets, for everyone that's kind of watching this show, that's watching this team, I want y'all to just put yourself in a place that when Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown get back, I think people forget just how good the Nuggets were starting off this year when they had all of them on the floor. And Aaron Gordon is obviously a huge piece for this team defensively, but he's also a huge piece for this team offensively. Like AG, before he went down, y'all, he was at 19 points a game, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, but he was shooting 53% from the field, 44 from the three, and 87% from the line. And it's his dexterity that he brings to this roster, to this team, that just allows for them to be as good as they are. But I will say now, y'all, the Nuggets without Aaron Gordon this year, I want to say their record is now, they're 11-4. So if you told me going into the year that they have a 73 win percentage without Aaron Gordon, like, that's a big change from last year. Now, obviously, they need AG to be healthy for the rest of the season. That's going to be really important for their playoff chances, for seeding purposes, and also just making sure that they're obviously in championship talks all year. But I do like the fact that Spencer Jones, who has 22 games left on his two-way option, we're going to have to convert him to the 15th rotation man on the roster. I do like that Spencer Jones has been able to really solidify himself in the rotation and to become, I think, like a legitimate player on this team. And there's an argument now. There's an argument that if you look through the Nuggets rotation now, it's like, yo, they have an 11-man rotation. They have an 11-man rotation this year, including Spencer Jones. I think when AG and Christian get back, Jamal with Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, and Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and then you're going to have Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, and Jalen Pickett. That's a really solid rotation. Now, Julian Strawther, I know, they really want him to be a bigger part of this team. I want him to be a bigger part of this team, but, he has to stay healthy and he has to start shooting better. I mean, it really is just that simple for Julian Strawther. I think, even yesterday, it's just not what you wanted. You know, Julian Strother was billed out of Gonzaga that he was going to be an elite 3-point shooter in this league. Well, y'all, we're year 3 now, 29.7% from 3 his rookie year, 34.9% from 3 last year, and just 11% from 3 this year. But as many of you know, shooting threes in the league, a lot of it is just momentum. Because, you know, we were having the same conversation about Cameron Johnson when everybody was kind of worried about Cameron Johnson and his shooting. But the last 20 games from Cameron Johnson, y'all, 13 points a game. Again, that's doing his job. But last 20 games, they played 28 games, y'all. He shot 49% from the field, 47% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. Like, that's phenomenal. He's playing super well. And in the last 15 games, he's at 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, and he's shooting 51% from the field, 50% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. So, as you can see, your 3-point shooting will fluctuate. But if it's in you, and I believe it's in Julian Strother, I do believe it will come out at some point. But the Nuggets needed to come out this year. Because if they're able to put out a rotation where they can, hey, you know, Bruce Brown, it's not your day, and you're not hitting threes. Okay, Tim Hardaway Jr., you go. And then now you have Tim Hardaway Jr. with Tim Hardaway, with Julian Strother, and then with Peyton Watson, and then with Aaron Gordon, and then with Christian Brown, with Jamal Murray. That gives them so many different options that they can truly tap into. So the Nuggets are in a really unique place, man. And I do want to say, y'all, the 21-7 record is nothing to sneeze at. Now, I know the Spurs are off to a crazy start. The OKC Thunder are off to a crazy start. The Detroit Pistons are off to a crazy start. But y'all, 21-7, are you kidding me? That's nuts. And especially given all the injuries they've had this year, like, that is super impressive. And their strength of schedule is getting harder, by the way. It was the second worst in the league. Now it's moving up because they have played some good teams. And if you look at the upcoming schedule, the Mavericks record isn't like crazy, but the Mavericks have been much better as of late. Much better. They are looking like a more cohesive team, obviously, with Anthony Davis getting back in the rotation. They got the Mavericks coming up. They have Minnesota coming up. And then they have playoff teams, Orlando, Miami, Toronto, and Cleveland. Playoff teams. So this stretch with Dallas tonight, and then playing Minnesota on Christmas on ABC, and then having these games on the road versus Orlando, Miami, Toronto, and Cleveland, that's a tough stretch, y'all. And then after that, they got Brooklyn, and then they got Philadelphia and Boston. So this road trip they're about to be on, like, just looking at the standings in the NBA, and pull up another tab here, I think this is going to be a nice little test for the team. And because if I'm looking at the schedule, so the Atlanta Hawks, who they play in Denver, mind you, are the 9th seed. The Miami Heat on the road, they're the 8th seed. The Cleveland Cavaliers on the road are the 7th seed. The Orlando Magic on the road are the 6th seed. The Toronto Raptors on the road are the 5th seed. The Philadelphia 76ers on the road are the 4th seed. The Boston Celtics on the road are the 3rd seed. Y'all, these are playoff teams they're about to go through. The worst team is the Brooklyn Nets, and you know Michael Porter Jr. is going to try to light them on fire in that game in Brooklyn. So I'm telling you, man, like, this is all that the Nuggets need to get. They just need to continue to stack these wins, build momentum. I think win the games that are in front of you that are winnable. I think tonight versus the Dallas Mavericks is a winnable game. I do think the Nuggets get payback tonight. I do think they shoot better. I do think they defend better tonight. They have to. That game versus the Mavericks was ridiculous. They were up too many points in that game to surrender that loss. And then they gave up 131 points to the Dallas Mavericks, who had, at the time, the worst offense in the league. It is time for them to get their get back. They have to. So the Nuggets tonight, if you look at some of the pregame stuff for this game, they should win tonight's game. This is still going to be a good game. They're a tough team. The Mavericks are obviously like Cooper Flagg is coming on crazy. He looks really good as of late. The Nuggets are favored to win this game. You know, they're giving them, like, the line is set like pretty strong in the Nuggets' favor. But you got to show up to these games. Like, it's that simple. You got to show up to these games. You got to get these wins. You got to play well. Jokic, Murray, they need to do their job. But hey, Cam Johnson, Spencer Jones, Peyton Watson, play defense. You got to lock in off the bench. Jonas Valanciunas, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jalen Pickett. Got to go do your job. Got to go do your job. I do expect them to win tonight. I don't have a score prediction, but I got to win. I got to win for them tonight. And then, like I said, they come home versus the Minnesota, who they're 2-0 against and 1-0 with Anthony Edwards in the lineup. They have a great chance of winning that game. And then on the road you go versus all playoff teams outside of the Brooklyn Nets, y'all. So I really appreciate it, y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you join the Everydayer Club for the number one podcast network there is. This is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. We'll see you on the other side.